So sad no one's bought this.
Is it a crop? I'll buy it.
I'm gonna buy it for myself. Do you make this?
Yeah, I make them all.
Awesome.
They all melt together. So the primary thing that I sell at the UMass Farmers Markets are these crewnecks, hoodies, t-shirts in long sleeve that have UMass collegiate letters that are stitched on and are cut out made using quilted materials that I find from the thrift store. I love the idea that I was able to completely source from recycled materials. So these can include quilted pillowcases, old quilts, even handkerchiefs or towels are often great textiles that I use. And I cut out the letters myself and stitch them on with my sewing machine. And the product is just these really beautiful, one-of-a-kind unique pieces that have the words UMass written over them. And I find that the students really love them. I remember always being fascinated by watching my mom sew when I was a little girl. She would make all sorts of projects from quilts to making me dresses for special occasions. And I loved just watching her work to make something beautiful come to life. My mom and I both had lots of free time when we were home from school during the spring of 2020, and I decided that there was no better time for me to try to learn how to sew myself. Afterwards, I started small and really just fell in love with the process of making clothes. The process of learning how to sew clothes from scratch has taught me a lot about patience. It can take me anywhere from 30 minutes to up to 16 hours on any particular sewing project. When I'm looking for materials to use for my sewing, I make it my highest priority to try to use recycled, secondhand, or thrifted textiles. I'll just go to the thrift store, go to the home goods section where there are thousands of quilts and pillowcases and napkins and tablecloths, and see if something is the right pattern, color, and type of material that will work with what I'm envisioning in my head. It's really important to me that I use thrifted, secondhand, recycled items when I'm making my clothes. A, because it is a lot more affordable, but you can also get really great quality fabrics. B, because I think it really sparks my creative process. Using something that's outside of its intended purpose, it forces me to really think outside of the box and transform things into something that you never thought that they could take form in. Some examples of some clothing pieces that I've made out of unconventional materials include making pants out of tablecloths, making a shirt out of napkins, and even making a skirt out of old curtains. I also think this is really important for me from the approach of sustainability. Obviously, buying new fabric constantly for sewing projects is not very sustainable. It's not really taking away from the vast amount of textiles and clothing that already exist in this world. Beyond actually making clothes from scratch, being able to sew has really helped me become more sustainable because I'm able to alter and modify my clothes to fit exactly how I want and to make sure that they're pieces that I really love and I'm going to keep on wearing for years to come. Learning how to sew has changed my life in so many positive ways, but I'm not trying to imply that someone needs to buy a sewing machine and make all their clothes in order to be the perfect sustainable person. I am privileged enough to have the time to be able to go to a thrift store and spend the hour and a half that it might take for me to sift through everything and find a good piece. I can access and pay for secondhand items that might come from online retail services like eBay or other apps, to be able to own a very expensive sewing machine and have the time to upcycle, alter, and mend my clothes. What I am trying to say is there are little actions that you can take in your life to be more aware of how to be sustainable, aware of our consumption and overuse as a planet, and maybe even implement those small steps in your own life. Even learning how to sew by hand and implementing and learning how to mend your own clothes, to hem your pants to fit you, to sew up holes, goes a long way in terms of sustainability and taking care of and loving your clothes. Thinking really hard about the longevity of a piece and how it will fit in your closet to make sure that you'll get the most use and wear out of it. Look for Facebook groups that are based around mutual aid so that you can swap and lend items to other people in your community. I know Walpole has a Buy Nothing Facebook page. For anyone who makes art or practices any sort of crafts, I really encourage you to use secondhand materials in your art making. There are so many materials out there that are just waiting to be transformed into something new, and using unconventional materials has really sparked my creative process. Sewing means a lot to me, especially because it's a skill that I share with my mom. Knowing that this was a practice that my mom used to make clothing and blankets and items to care for me as a child, and now I will use it in the future to take care of others, is really special to me and a really beautiful experience to share with her.